Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Joy Ogbeide, a voiceover artist, graphic designer and a lot of other things. So I'm going to be reading The Lady, Her Lover and Her Lord by Bishop T.D. Jakes. Currently we're in part 2, which is Her Lover. So part 2 and chapter 9, Pillow Talk. Meanwhile, before I start, if you haven't subscribed, please do, and do share this video with somebody who you know would find this helpful, especially that lady in your life, your friend, your lady, So thank you for subscribing and let's get right into it. You shall have whatever you say. Mark 11:23. These powerful words are extracted out of a lesson that Jesus, the great teacher, shared with his disciples about the power of the spoken word. It is fitting that a God who created the earth by the power of his words would then teach his disciples to be careful of what they say. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis 1:3. It is in the same spirit that I share with you the extreme power that exists when you use your tongue for good or for evil in your own house and relationship. Those who idly say whatever they want without awareness of consequences are sadly naive. Many of us have been the victim of hateful, thoughtless words, and we have been bruised by them. Most of us are living with the consequences of our own speech, whether it was a yes given too hastily or an opinion shared too quickly. We enter into relationships with our mouths open, even if our eyes were closed. Many of you have said things that bruised your companion and changed the tenor of your relationship. If your mouth got you in the trouble of relationship that you are in, then theoretically, it stands to reason that your mouth can get you out. The injury can be healed, but saying "I am sorry" isn't always enough. Those magic words are not nearly as healing as the statements that led to them are damaging. But with a careful rebuilding of credibility through controlled speech, you can regain what you lost through the abuse of the tongue. A woman needs to understand the effect her words have on a man's performance. Her words can motivate or disintegrate his self-esteem. In fact, the words of a woman can influence a man more than anything else. Think about it. We live in a matriarchal society. Most men talk to their mothers more openly than to their fathers. It is the mother that the young footballer speaks to as he looks into the camera after making the winning touchdown. Men have often been encouraged by the feminine voice. As a child, it was a woman's voice that scolded and corrected them. It was a woman's voice that sang them to sleep when they were afraid of the dark. More often than not, a feminine voice taught him in school. A wife's voice is just as powerful to an adult man. If that voice is adversarial and complaining, it affects his personnel. On the other hand, a word of encouragement can renew his desire to survive. The Bible teaches us that the power of life and death is in the tongue. A woman who speaks comfortably and carefully to a man can encourage a greater strength and courage than one who is consistently confrontational. Her words can exalt him or demolish him. She can say things that make him want to retreat to the rooftop rather than to be close to her. No one realizes the power of words as much as preachers. Preaching is just the coordinating of words with an intent to build up and direct. Every major revolution in history was accomplished by someone who knew what to say. Anyone, male or female, who recklessly spurt out words is speaking death to their relationship. It is better to live in a corner of the roof than a house shared with a contentious woman. Proverbs 25 verse 24, NAS version. The man flees from contention, but draws strength from the woman who encourages him and affirms him. But that is not unique to the male species. Any of us will draw closer to the warm voice of affirmation more quickly than we would to the shrill voice of constant criticism. True. Calm spirits create trust and tranquility. This is the key to a long-lasting relationships. It is in this environment that positive change and development can best be accomplished. Even if there are areas that desperately need to be changed, hostility will not bring about change. It will just result in resentment and hiding his heart on the roof. You can keep your lover off the roof and in the bed with tenderness. A woman who knows what to say is a mighty, powerful force. She can influence her husband. Not only can she strengthen him and give him courage, she can motivate him. Men react to praise as God reacts to praise. David says that God is magnified through spoken praise. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. Psalm 34 verse 3. This psalm uses the term magnify, which literally means to cause to grow. When we praise God, he increases in our lives. Any man who is praised will begin to grow. Men always try to impress women who fuss over them. If a woman seems impressed by a guy who carries 2 bags of groceries and still unlocks the door, he will grab 3 bags and say to her, "Check this out, no problem, it's a piece of cake." He will say it even if he is out of breath and delirious. Her words motivate him to perform. This is how children are positively motivated. Encouragement yields results. Men react to words. Watch a little boy who is spoken well of. Watch him try even harder to impress. The voice of a woman has caused the little boy in us to try harder in all we do. It has given us the courage to fight the giants in our lives. It is the same feminine voice that can cause men to grow. A woman who knows what to say can make a man drop his newspaper in the chair and spend the evening in her arms. It is the power of the spoken word that moves men. It will move a man forward or it will demolish him. It just depends on what words are said to him. There are things a woman can say to a man that crush him so terribly that he is impotent. Her words can make him impotent sexually, spiritually, or economically. There is power that erupts from the feminine voice. If that power is directed for good, it will motivate him in every area. Yes, a woman's words spoken sweetly can greatly influence a man. Even Jesus performed a miracle prior to his plan because Mary, his mother, came to him and asked him for help. Her looking to him was so compelling that he turned water into wine. And the 3rd day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, "They have no wine." Jesus said unto her, "Woman, What have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother saith unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Jesus saith unto them, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he saith unto them, Draw out now, and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servant which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and said unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, but thou hast kept the good wine until now. John 2 verse 1 to 10. If your relationship has lost the sweet taste of wine and has become the dismal waters of mundane routine, try speaking gently to him. You'd be surprised what a wedding night can be derived from a woman who knows how to speak to her husband. There is still a carafe of Cablis left in his heart for you. Speak softly to him and get ready to say that God has saved the best wine for last. Study the power of the tongue. Understand that if the power is not bridled, it can be dangerous to any relationship. So also, the tongue is a small part of the body, and yet it boasts of great things. Behold, how great a forest is set aflame by such a small fire. And the tongue is a fire, the very word of iniquity. The tongue is set among our members as that which defiles the entire body, and sets on fire the course of our life, and is set on fire by hell. James 3 verse 5 to 6, TLB. It is amazing to think that something so small can destroy relationships, ruin opportunities, damage children, cripple women, and emasculate men. Yet, I tell you the truth, more people are hurt by a tongue out of control than by a gun. It is small, it is quick, and it is deadly. The worst part of it is that we tend to use it most effectively against those who are vulnerable enough to care about what we say. Your real enemies will never be wounded by your words because they will never dignify your words with their attention. It is the people who love you and want to be with you who are likely to become assaulted by your words. One day, you will look into their eyes and notice that you have doused the fire that once burned inside them. It was your tongue that did it. Please, stop it before you murder your friend, your career, your child, or your companion. All of us who are quick-witted have to harness our tongue. Can you imagine what would happen if everyone said everything that they thought? Just because you know what to say to lame a person does not mean that you have the right to say it. Before you speak, weigh the effects of your words. You may not be able to retract them, so be sure that you mean them before you hurl them at someone tonight whom you may want to love you tomorrow. Sadly, though, most people who have never learned to bridle their tongues end up alone. For everyone who would have been there has been lashed away by a tongue that could not be controlled. The children leave, the husband escapes, and the employers don't give promotions. And the worse things get, the more brutal the tongue becomes. The more brutal the tongue gets, the greater the alienation becomes. It's a vicious circle. Can you see yourself in these lines? If so, ask God to give you the grace to use your tongue for good and not evil. If you will allow Him, He will take your tongue and direct it for His glory rather than for your destruction. Here is a good prayer for you to pray if you feel that you are struggling in this area. Harboring a knife under your pillow really destroys pillow talk for you and the one you love. Get rid of that dagger by addressing it in prayer. Simply ask God for His harness over your tongue. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in Thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Psalms 19 verse 14. Your mouth is designed to speak blessings and petition heaven. You are meant to see your prayers answered. You have been given a swift tongue, so you can speak peace to the storms and life to the dead things that arise against you. The evil one has no right to use what God gave you, but the devil is trying to use it to destroy you. I want you to make the commitment to change your speech into something wholesome. If you do, when you are old, you will be surrounded by people who want to hear you speak. When in love, your mouth is filled with an elixir mixed from the honey of your thoughts and the wine of your affections. When you speak, the sound of your voice should stir passion in your mate and not be associated with pain. There are women who have been able to walk into a room and speak a word that causes their husbands to awake out of unconsciousness. I remember a man I knew who had a terrible accident and slipped into a coma. The doctors had given up all hope, but his wife never did. She kept speaking to him. In fact, she kept praying for him. He later said her voice was in his ears, calling him back from the light. It was not only a strong prayer that pulled him through, it was a familiar voice that made him climb out of the arms of death. When you speak, you can call men from a state of depression or despair. You have the power, use it for good. If you do, you will be a rich woman all your life. You will be rich in friends, rich in success, and rich in admiration. Men deeply appreciate a woman who is full of kind words. As I close this issue, there is one thing that I want you to know. If you are going to enjoy a wholesome relationship, there must be communication between you and your mate. But there is a difference between discussing and resolving a conflict through communicating and unleashing hellfire on someone with your lethal tongue. Resolve conflict, but do not abuse each other with words. They are so easily spoken, but they are difficult to erase. Use your words to share your dreams and needs, and to ask your lover what he wants. We see things from different perspectives. If you give him only what you like, it will cause great frustration, partially because your intentions were so sincere, but yet your efforts did not elicit the proper response. Secondly, it frustrates him because giving is only effective when we humble ourselves enough to allow the other person's needs or desires to take precedence over our own biases and preferences. You may have to climb into the bed together while the children are fast asleep and talk. Yes, that's right, just talk. Talk until the morning light peeks into the window. Talk until the robin chirps its early morning song of daybreak. This is your life you are fighting to save. Without communication, your relationship will surely die. And with it, the promise of love and comfort for all your days of earth. So what's a girl to do, you ask? I suggest that while you lie in your bed or drive together to work, you always develop the art of communication. Sometimes you will speak in words, other times words won't be necessary. There are times you can speak volumes without opening your mouth. Your hands and eyes can often send louder messages if they are used the right way. But no matter how you speak, just be sure that you do speak. Communication will help you maintain an understanding of each other's needs. Negotiate your needs so that everyone wins. Your job is to bring joy into each other's lives. There is never anything wrong in someone asking, "How can I make your life better?" Just asking the question means a lot. The consideration it implies makes the person feel loved and appreciated. So, I am prescribing a large dose of communication, a few hours of touch, followed by a generous application of eye contact. And every night before you go to sleep, whisper something in each other's ear that makes you need to wrap up in each other. A good relationship feels like a warm blanket on a cold night. Cuddle up close and insulate yourself from the events of the day. Reach over in the night for the warm place in each other's heart, and then, ever so softly, whisper your pillow talk. Thank you for listening. So, I'll see you in the next video. And if you've not subscribed, please subscribe and share this video to someone who you think might need it. Remember, there's power in your tongue. This is very, very profound. And I think to an extent lately, I've been deviating from this, knowing the power of my words, but thankfully I'm back on track. So see you when I see you, and bye.